plenary of Thursday. And then from the order paper of today, the House has scheduled 11 bills and 8 motions for consideration. Well, one of the motions that will be coming up today is a motion that seeks to investigate seemingly high cost of electricity tariff in the country. And then, you know, as we always do it on this day, the Chairman House Committee on Rules and Business, who actually does all the scheduling of items and programs for the House, is always here to tell us more. In fact, when we hear from him, we hear from the grapevine. And then this morning will not be different. He's here again to tell us what actually will be coming up on the floor by the time the House reconvenes this morning. I will say thank you again for joining us.
Good morning, Ignatius. Good morning, Nigerians. Actually, we have, like you mentioned, we have 11 bills coming up for second reading. Now, out of the 11 bills, you have 7 of them that are Senate bills that have been passed in the Senate and forwarded to us for concurrence. 2 of those bills are dealing with poverty. The first one is the one that seeks to make provision for freedom from hunger and right to adequate food of acceptable quality. It's a bill that has been passed in the Senate and passed over to the House for concurrence. There's also a bill that seeks to establish the National Poverty Eradication Commission. You know, we had a National Poverty Eradication Program, but there was no law backing it. So the last administration made issues about dropping that program. Now we're going to have a commission set up to back up any such program that the federal government may want to come up with. There's a bill that was passed by the National Assembly and sent to the presidency for assent, National Lottery Amendment Bill. Actually, I was the one that sponsored the bill in the House. Now the presidency vetoed the bill, refused to assent. Now we're coming back because the Constitution in Section 58, subsection 5 says that we can override presidential veto. We are in the process of doing that. The bill will come up today for second reading. Several other bills will be coming up, and like I always mention, a matter of urgent public importance could be brought by any member who feels it's strong enough and urgent enough to require immediate attention.
Okay, but from my own observation, within this week, there have been a series of bills coming up for concurrence from the Senate. Yeah. So what actually is happening? Is it the fact that, most of the bills now no longer come from the House?
No, we have given several of our bills that were passed by the House over to the Senate, and they've been working on them, so we've been doing some this side. And let me not forget, because today is a very important day in the House, because today the Special Ad hoc Committee on Constitutional Amendment is going to lay its report. The first segment of the report is going to be laid today by the Deputy Speaker himself, who chairs the subcommittee on constitutional amendment. So it's a very big day. But as to the concurrence, the Senate have been doing the same to our bill. Last week alone, they concurred to 20-something of our bills. So we've been doing same to their bills here. That is what the law says. It takes the 2 chambers to pass a law for the president to assign.
All right. Thank you very much for your time once again.
Thanks again for having me.
All right. Well, as I earlier said, that one of the motions that will be coming up today is a motion that seeks to investigate the high cost of electricity tariff in the country. And the mover of that motion is Representative Shehu Aliyu Musa from Bauchi State. Well, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Sir.
All right. So what informed the decision for this, your motion?
Actually, the motion is all about the review of the electricity tariff template in Nigeria. And what necessitated this motion was the quantum of public outcry over the unbearable price of electricity in Nigeria. Today, everyone knows that no ordinary Nigerian gets 24/7 supply of electricity in Nigeria. And yet, the price of electricity keeps increasing. So this motion now tends to really address all the components that leads to the fixation of this particular price that Nigerians are paying today. And what is more worrisome is the fact that the price that Nigerians are paying today is not even the actual price. That the regime, the tariff system, intends to keeps increasing this price for Nigerians. So we are worried. This is the time for us to come and stand with Nigerians. This is the time for us to come and bargain for a much more affordable price for Nigeria in terms of electricity. Everyone knows today an occupant of 2-bedroom bungalow today pays an average of 6,000 to 7,000 naira per month. An occupant of 3-bedroom pays an average of 10,000 to 15,000 naira per month. An occupant of 4-bedroom pays between 20,000 to even 30,000 naira per month. Now consider the percentage of the income levels of Nigerians. in which almost 60 to 70% of Nigerians are low-income earners. How could a minimum income earner of 18,000 sacrifice 8,000 naira only for electricity? What can he take to feed his family? What can he take to sustain his livelihood? I think this is the time for us to stand as representatives of the people, to call all the necessary stakeholders, the producers, we the consumers, the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, to come and sit on a round table so that we can now look at this template, look at the indices, look at all the assumptions, and come up with a correct bargain for Nigerians.
Right. Thank you very much for your time again.
Thank you, Ignatius.
Well, like the Chairman House Committee on Rules and Business did say about the issue of submitting the first batch of the report on constitutional review, well, Nigerians have all the time been expecting to see what will be the next stage of this constitutional review. But today, Nigerians will see the ad hoc committee sitting to ensure that this constitutional amendment, well, comes to fruition. We'll be tabling the first batch of its report today in the plenary. Well, as it is, members are yet to commence sitting, and therefore we'll bring to you a repeat of the House plenary. But as soon as the House reconvenes for this morning's plenary, we'll take it straight to the Green Chamber.
And the two petitions, first one is criminal complaint by Shola Egbenyika, Esquire, against the conduct of officers of the Nigerian police force over the controversial disappearance of Mr. Clayton Ushe Ikia in the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. The second one is petition by Akibode Oluwafemi against the British America Tobacco Nigeria Limited and other tobacco companies that illegally benefited from the Export Expansion Grant, EEG scheme, in the form of tax waiver, grants and other benefits between 2004 and 2014, thereby defrauding the federal government of Nigeria. May I seek the permission of Mr. Speaker to lay the petition, sir?
Please do.
Remain Honorable Dixon Taki. Mr. Speaker, I represent Makodi Goma Federal Constituency. I'm from Benue State. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I'm in receipt of a petition by D.I. Nyam and co-legal practitioners, in this instance, solicitors for Mr. Samuel Yongu, Datu Soni, and Ako Francis. Mr. Speaker, this petition is on alleged conspiracy and gruesome murder of 3 members of Uzu Gwagwen family, Yongu Aonduas Uzu, Tanko Akmelan Uzu, and Tehemba Yongu. It also borders on mischief by fire allegedly caused by identified members of a gang named Breaking Bottles. This petition draws attention to the threat of lives and property of the entire Uzu Gwagwen family by a terrorist gang known and addressed as Breaking Bottles in Dogonrua settlement area of Gawu Council Ward in Abuja, area Council Ward of Dev City. This petition, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, seeks the House to lend her powerful voice to order for an investigation into the murders, arson and threat to lives and property with a view to averting further loss of lives and property and to lead to the meting of appropriate punishments on the offenders and culprits. Mr. Speaker, I therefore most humbly seek leave of this honorable House to lay this petition before the House for its usual passionate examination of the issues, therefore, and to provoke the right to kinds of actions I so plead, Speaker.
Please go ahead and lay the petition. Petitions refer to the House Committee on Public Petition.
Representative Lado Suleja of Niger State moved the motion on flooding, which the House unanimously agreed should be the priority subject matter of the day.
Mr. Speaker, I'm coming under Order 8, Rule 4, for a matter of public urgent importance. I would like the House to suspend all its relevant rules to enable me present the matter. I so move. Thank you.
Honorable Lado, you have not stated the matter. At least the House is supposed to be informed about minimally the title of your motion and possibly one other sentence that will show what you're actually craving for. So let me give you the opportunity again to tell us the title of your motion and what you are requesting the House to do.
The title of my motion is on the devastating effects caused by a heavy flood in Suleja and Tafa local government area of Niger State that caused the lives of about 40 people in that community. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
And we are all aware and conversant with what happened in Lagos in the last couple of days in terms of the devastating effect of the flood that ravaged perhaps one of the most important mega cities in this country. And because Honorable Lado has brought a similar motion as it affects Niger State, I would want us to, if necessary, suspend all relevant rules to marry the two motions together and take them holistically as motions for urgent public importance regarding the devastating flood that's ravaged both Niger, Lagos, and perhaps any other city or state in the country. I so move.
Those in favor of that first leg of the motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Honorable Lado, can you please move your motion?
Mr. Speaker, the House note with serious concern the devastation caused by the heavy downpour of rainfall in Suleja and its environs on the 9th July 2017, which lasted for about 10 hours. Worried that the heavy downpour, which flooded communities in Suleja and environs, left a trail of devastation and sorrow, with about 40 people confirmed dead, and lots more are still missing. Property destroyed, over 400 houses were washed away, thereby displacing almost 1,000 people homeless. Disturbed that the victims, which are mostly women and children, include the washing away by the flood of babies of less than 8 months. Aware also that such areas affected include Hayin Nasarawa in Tafa local government area, Bakin Iku, Chaza, also in Suleja local government area. Concerned that the victims are made homeless by the disaster with nowhere to put on, road linking to the community was cut off, inflicting more hardship on the people of that community. The House resolved to, 1, observe a minute of silence in honor of those who lost their lives in the tragedy. Number 2, direct the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, to mobilize to affected areas and provide relief materials and makeshift camps to victims of this devastation within Suleja and Tafa local government area of Niger State. 3, direct the House committees on special duties and internally displaced persons and refugees to take an oversight tour to the affected areas and quantify the level of destruction and the magnitude of the humanitarian crisis, and further report to the House for further legislation. Direct the Ministry of Works, Housing and Power, FEMA, to mobilize also to the affected area for immediate action and reconstruction of destroyed infrastructures and facilities to ease the hardship of the people of the community. I so moved. Thank you.
Any seconder?
Honorable Aisha Jibril Duku, Jimbier Duku, member representing Dukuna for the Federal Constituency. I rise to second the motion ably moved by my colleague. I so second.
Let's listen to leader to hide his own side of the story. We know that what you have presented is about Suleja in Niger State, and the leader has come up to say that there was a similar incident in Lagos State. So, leader, You can now add your voice.
Suleja is a part of Nigeria inhabited by Nigerians. But it makes the case even more compelling when perhaps what used to be the capital city of this country, Lagos, that houses over 20 million Nigerians from all parts of Nigeria, is also affected. This is a state wherein you will find several federal government structures, not just Lagos State. So it makes it imperative and gives this federal government jurisdiction to make sure they go into Lagos to find out what has almost become a perennial problem, year in, year out. Mr. Speaker, the issue of water and flood is not something that we should look at or in any way undermine the devastating effect, the destruction of lives, the destruction of property, and the loss of lives. Under the Constitution of Nigeria, our primary purpose here as a government is the security and welfare of the citizens of Nigeria wherever they may be found. Mr. Speaker, it is time for us to be proactive. It is not until the city goes down. We have issues of
happiness, peace, and prosperity of Nigeria. Amen.
We're now reaching you live from the House of Representatives, where members have reconvened for Thursday's plenary. Don't forget, you can also watch us live on NTA Parliament Channel 306 Star Times Bouquet. The members have just rounded off with the prayers for the day. Today's plenary from the other paper will actually be passing quite a number of bills, and most of these bills will be coming for second reading. But actually, before those bills will be coming up for second reading, the House has scheduled 4 bills for first reading. Well, one of them is a bill on the National Housing Fund. That bill seeks to repeal and reenact, well, another agency that will take care of national housing in Nigeria. We also have a bill that seeks to establish the Nigerian Security System Surveillance Regulatory Commission. So these are the 4 bills and actually coming for first reading. On the plenary as well today, the House Ad hoc Committee on the review of the 1999 Constitution. Well, that committee is, actually presided by the Deputy Speaker, Representative Suleiman Yusuf Lasson. That committee will be presenting the first batch of its report on the plenary today. Well, you know that the House actually has been working on the modalities of amending the 1999 Constitution. And we all know the processes of constitutional amendment in Nigerian Constitution. Well, the National Assembly alone does not possess exclusive power to carry out this amendment, as it has to be taken to the state assemblies for a 2/3 of the state assemblies before it passes through.
colleagues, as we wait for the circulation of the other paper, let's start with announcements. Before then, let me adopt the votes and proceedings. Honorable colleagues have examined and approved the votes and proceedings of Wednesday, 19 July 2017. Announcements. Honorable colleague recognition, we have in the gallery the members of Environmental Design Students Association, Faculty of Environmental Design, Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria. If you're there, could you please rise for recognition? Round of applause for them. Thank you for coming. Kindly take your seats. Also in the gallery are members of National Union of Benue State Students, NUBES, from University of Abuja chapter. Could you please rise? A round of applause for them. Thank you for coming. Kindly take your seats. In the gallery we have the members of Nigeria Association of Adventist Students, Public Campus Ministries. If you're there, will you please rise for recognition? A round of applause for them. Thank you for coming. Kindly take your seats. Last but not least, members of Voters Education Club, VEDUC, from Ahmadu Al-Huda College chapter, Zaria. Could you please rise for recognition? Round of applause for them. Honorable Dati, I hope you're clapping. Thank you for coming. Kindly take your seats. Communication from the acting president. Request for virement of funds from various budget lines to fund federal government's priority projects and programs. You will recall that the 2017 appropriation bill was signed into law on 12 June 2017. However, prior to the signing, discussions and consultations were held between the executive and the leadership of the National Assembly on some critical priority items for which adequate provisions had not been made in the 2017 Appropriation Act. I also recall that it was agreed that the executive should submit a virement proposal to the National Assembly for your consideration. The purpose of this letter, therefore, is to forward the virement proposal. $135,643,018,749 naira. The ministries affected as follows. Federal Ministry of Power and Housing, amount to be divided within projects in the ministry, 46 billion, 4,049,292 naira. Federal Ministry of Transportation, amount to be divided 66 billion. Sources of virement, Federal Ministry of Transportation, 33 billion 247 million naira. Federal Ministry of Power, Works and Housing, 3 billion 181 million 973,545 naira. Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, 14 billion 130 million 719,780 naira. Office of the National Security Advisor, 5 billion. Federal Ministry of Science and Technology, 5 billion 9,244,926 naira. Federal Ministry of Trade and Investment, 5 billion 404,065,749 naira. Total is 66 billion. Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development, amount to be divided within project in the ministry is 1 billion. Federal Ministry of Interior, amount to be vide is 7,698,811,674 naira. Sources of environment, Federal Ministry of Interior, 7,698,811,674 naira. Federal Ministry of Trade and Investment, 80,500,000. Total is 7,698,811,674 naira. Ministry of Defense, amount to be vide within projects within the ministry, 150,000 naira. Sorry, let me take that again. Ministry of Defense, amount to be vide within project within the ministry is 33,150,000,000 naira. Federal Ministry of Education, amount to be vide within projects within the ministry, 770 million. Federal Capital Territory Administration, amount to be vide 3 billion. Sources of environment, Federal Capital Territory Administration, 1.7 billion. Federal Ministry of Trade and Investment, 1.3 billion. Total 3 billion. Federal Ministry of Health, headquarters, amount to be vide within projects within the ministry, 1 billion. Office of the Secretary of Government of the Federation, amount to be vide within project within the ministry, 735,035,000 naira. Federal Ministry of Labor and Employment, amount to be vide within project within the ministry, 1,093,579,983 naira. Federal Ministry of Information and Culture, amount to be vide within project within the ministry, 729 million. Federal Ministry of Communications Technology, amount to be vide within project is 734 million naira. Federal Ministry of Water Resources, amount to be vide within projects within the ministry is 2,387,541,000. Federal Ministry of Mines and Steel Development, amount to be vide within project within the ministry is 1,100,000,000. 500 Federal Ministry of Environment. Federal Ministry of Environment, amount to be vide within projects within the ministry is 241,001,800 naira. Grand total 135,643,018,749 naira. The specific appropriated items to be vide to are contained in Schedule 1, while the specific appropriated items from which to vide the amounts required are contained in Schedule 2, both of which are charged. In the light of the above, I implore you to urgently consider this environment proposal in order to support our collective efforts to improve the well-being of our citizens. Please accept, distinguished Senate President. Well, I guess this is a mistake. Please accept the assurances of my highest regards, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, SAN, GCON, Acting President and Commander-in-Chief of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. This request from the acting president is referred to Committee on Appropriations. It's just communications. Are you raising a point on other than communications? Further announcement, this is for the attention of the chairman and members of the House Committee on Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs. You are hereby directed to conclude work on the resolution of the House and the investigation of the provision of 10.7 billion naira Millennium Development Goals and water supply exit programs remitted to your committee on 8 December 2015. You are further directed to submit the report of your committee within 2 weeks of this announcement, failing which the committee will be divested of jurisdiction on the matter without further reference. So I hope the chairman, Committee on MDGs, has noted this. Conferees on the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Bill 2007. Chairman of the conference committee is Honorable Sylvester Obaga. Members are Honorable Peter Patterson, Honorable Bulu Solomon Marin, Honorable Azuboko Chris Ifeanyi, Honorable Shehu Nicholas Garba, and Honorable Ahmed Garba Bichi. Conferees on the Witness Protection Bill, otherwise known as Whistleblowers Bill. Honorable Nkiruka Onyechoja chaired the committee. Honorable Mohamed Tahir Monguno is a member. Honorable Aminu Shehu Shagari, member. Honorable Istefanus Aigyang, member. Honorable Solomon Awinawi, member. Honorable Odebumi Olisegu, member. Further announcement, notification of the death of Senator Dr. Isidore Obinna Obasi, former member of the House of Representatives. Right to notify you, the honorable members of the House of Representatives, of the death of His Royal Highness Eze, Senator Isidore Obinna Obasi, of Autonomous Community in Hazu, Mbase local LGA of Imo State. Late Eze Senator Obinna served the nation in his capacity as a member of the House of Representatives representing Ahiazu, Ezenhite Mbase between 1979 to 1983, and also as a senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria in 1983. He was an astute politician, a vibrant and consummate lawmaker, and an outstanding custodian of tradition and culture. I wish to inform Mr. Speaker, and indeed the House of Representatives, that the late Eze Senator Obasi will be laid to rest on 12 August 2017 by 11 a.m. at the Palace of Peace, here Zumbase LGA, Imo State. The Speaker and dear honorable members, your esteemed presence will be highly appreciated by his family and the entire community, as we pay our last respect to our traditional ruler and our departed colleague. I humbly solicit for the observation of a minute's silence in honor of our departed senior colleague. Accept the assurances of my highest regards. Announcer is Honorable Raphael Nana Ibokwe. So, honorable colleagues, as is the custom of the House, may we please rise for a minute's silence in honor of the departed colleague. And may the soul of the departed rest in perfect peace. Amen. Petitions. Any member who has a petition to present to the House may please rise to do so. Petitions. Start from Honorable Nkole.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues. I remain Honorable Ukundukwe Nkole, member representing the Chicken Affairs Federal Constituency. Honorable Speaker, honorable colleagues, I have a petition from Asia for Half-Fair Development Union. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, their petition is on the failure by one contractor, Mr. Sematech Nigerian Limited, to restore the high-tension pool they uprooted in the course of the agreement they had in the construction of the road project that was awarded to them. Honorable Speaker, they have a simple prayer that after all repeated attempts to get them to honor their gentleman arrangement, the company has refused, and this has kept the community in perpetual darkness in the last 5 years. Mr. Speaker, their prayer is that you use your good office to ensure that Mr. Sematech Nigeria Limited restores the high-tension poles and restore their light. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, with your leave, I seek to lay the petition before the House for further legislative action.
Please proceed and lay the petition. Honorable Israel Famurewa.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues. My name is Israel Ajibola Famurewa, a member representing Atakumosa East and West, Elisha East and West. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I'm from State of Osun. I have this petition from Liberation Chambers. A barrister, solicitor, and tax attorney, writing on behalf of Duncan Support Services Limited against Zenith Bank PLC. The petition against Zenith Bank is for aggravated injustice, oppression, iniquity, dishonesty, dealing, and malicious defamation perpetrated against Duncan Support Services Limited, leading to the sudden closure of the petitioner's vibrant, lucrative business and sacking of his numerous employees. Mr. Speaker, they were trusting this House that they will get justice through intervention of this House. If I have the permission of Mr. Speaker, may I lay the petition, sir?
Please proceed and lay the petition. Any more from this row? This row, Honorable EJ, a veteran petition presenter.
Mr. My right honorable Speaker and my dear colleagues, I am Honorable E.J. Agboanima, representing the good people of Ego Ipobaha Federal Constituency. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, because I'm representing my people very much effectively. And thank you. Mr. Speaker, I have before this Honorable House a petition from my constituency, from His Royal Highness, the Enoge of Uhiri Ironye, against the Benin Electricity Distribution Company, BEDC, following the overbilling of his community and total disconnection and follow-up billing upon billing and billing and billing after disconnection by BEDC. Mr. Speaker, His Royal Highness is seeking the intervention of this Honorable House to address the issue of menace of arbitrary increase in billing in the face of limited light, and to direct the BEDC to restore power supply back to his community. Mr. Speaker, I know very well this is affecting every one of us across Nigeria. And this is a problem, no light, but there's a bill. And it's asking this Honorable House that this is the last hope that can put this menace behind. May I please, at this time, crave your indulgence, Mr. Speaker, to lay this petition before this Honorable House. Mr. Speaker, thank you.
Honorable EJ, please proceed and lay the petitions. Next is from Honorable Arabo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, my distinguished colleagues. Simon Arabo is my name. I represent Kauru constituency. Mr. Speaker, colleagues, I have 3 petitions I directed against the Nigerian police force. The first petition is dated 26th of December 2015 by Lois Haruna and 27 others. They complained that they were wrongly eased out of the police force and they want to be reinstated. The second one is from ex-police corporal Jeremiah Ezekiel and also from ex-police corporal Comfort Johanna, all complaining about wrongful disengagement of the Nigerian police force. Appealing to this House to intervene so that they can get justice. Mr. Speaker, sir, may I be allowed to lay the petition on the floor of the House?
Please proceed and lay the petition. Any more petitions? Honorable Odogi Apotai.
Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, my name is Honorable Dowidoga Ekot. I'm a member representing Eket, Ona, Esreket, even of Federal Constituency. I have 4 petitions here to lay before the House for Nigerians. Number 1 petition is by Issa Bawa and 3 others against the management of Abuja Investment Company Limited on the wrongful termination of the appointment by the company. Number 2, petition by Comrade Bright Ibianga on behalf of Membe People's Assembly of Cross River State on abandonment of Membe ethnic group of Cross River State to incessant killings, thus seeking for the federal government intervention. Petition by Okoronkwo Chikudi Duke on malicious and unwarranted termination of his appointment with Federal Polytechnic, Nekede, Owerri. Number 4, petition by Michael Olukorede Odumesu against Pension Transitional Arrangement Directorate, PIPTAI, on the stoppage of his monthly pension since February 2016. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I request that I lay this petition the floor of the House for further legislative action. Thank you.
Please proceed and lay the petitions. Honorable Chinda Kinsley.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My dear colleagues, Kingsley Chinda. I represent Obiabo Federal Constituency. I'm an Ikwere man from River State. Mr. Speaker, my dear colleagues, I have plethora of petitions from the University of Port Harcourt, but I will plead that I be allowed to present just 2 out of all. One is from concerned students of the University of Port Harcourt complaining against the school policy of no payment of school fees, no examination. Mr. Speaker, their complaint is that a lot of the students that either made part payment of their school fees are compelled to repeat a year and ensure that they pay both for the year that they lost and the additional year that is given to them. And clearly their prayer and cry is that the reasons for some of these part payments is born out of the present economic situation. Though they are very willing to pay the full fees before they graduate, but the school insists that where you have failed to pay your full school fees, that you will lose 1 year. This has led to several protests and petitions in the school and has also led to loss of life. They are calling on this House to wade in. In the same vein, Mr. Speaker, there is also a petition from a parent, one Chief Chima Kaniwo, who is also praying this House in the same light to look into the plight of his son, who is a final year student at the University of Port Harcourt, and he made part payment of his fees. He was allowed to write his courses, but now that he is willing to conclude the payment for the son to be graduated, the son is compelled to sit back for another 1 year, and he is also forced to make full payment. Mr. Speaker, they are calling on this House to intervene in this matter and ensure that justice is done to these students. With your leave, I seek to lay this petition on the table.
Please proceed and lay the petition. Honorable Linus Okore.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable colleagues, I'm Linus Okorie, Abuja on the Nigerian Federal Constituency, my constituency. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I have a single petition from Golden Seraph Nigeria Limited. It's titled, A Petition Against the Federal Ministry of Communications Technology for failure to vacate our warehouse and refusal to pay 4 years accumulated rent. Mr. Speaker, the prayer of this petition is that the House looks into this matter and compel the ministry to vacate this warehouse, which are long expired in their hand, and they refuse to take the things they have in there and pay the rent that are outstanding. With your kind leave, Mr. Speaker, may I lay the petition on the table?
Please proceed and lay the petition. All petitions referred to the Committee on Public Petitions. Point of order from Honorable Kaita.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ahmed Babakita, representing Kenche Kusadinga of Katsina State. So my point of order is coming under Order 846, and the urgent need to ensure full compliance with the National Housing Fund Act, CAF, and 45 laws of the Federation, LFN, 2004, for effective housing delivery in Nigeria. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, the House knows that Section 2...
No, you can't start moving the motion. You have to apply first that will consider the matter urgent and suspend our rules to enable you to take the motion.
Honorable Keita. I did that the last...
Okay, Honorable Keita is listed...
Honorable Keita, please.
On the order paper. Is listed in the order paper.
I presented this last week, sir, in which you said I will take it on Thursday. This is a motion, sir. There are two different things.
It's listed as a motion, so you will wait.
Yes.
So it will be taken as a motion, as a substantive motion, because it's already listed in the order paper.
Yes.
So please take your seat and wait for the opportunity.
Honorable Keita, be guided, please.
Honorable members, the first business of the day is presentation of 4 bills, and I invite the clerk to read their short titles.
Honorable Speaker, honorable members, National Housing Fund Repeal and Reenactment Bill 2017, first reading. Federal University, Obulu Uku Establishment Bill 2017, first reading. Niger Delta Institute of Technology and Skills Acquisition Establishment Bill 2017, first reading. Nigerian Security Systems Surveillance Regulatory Commission Establishment Bill 2017,
Honorable Soba.
reading.
Honorable Soba, please. Please.
Honorable members, second business of the day is presentation report of the Special Annual Committee on the review of the 1999 Constitution and the bill for an act to alter the provision of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 as amended, standing in the name of Honorable Suleiman Lasun Yusuf. The report is ready for presentation, and Right Honorable Lasun is now invited to present it.
Honorable Soba, please, can you allow the DS, please?
Right, Honorable Speaker, honorable colleagues, my name is Lasso Yusuf. I represent Irepo Odun, Oloruda, Orolu Osogbo Federal Constituency. I'm from the state of Osun. Mr. Speaker, may I move
Honorable Obonta, please take your seat.
The report of the Special Ad hoc Committee on the review of the 1999 Constitution on a bill for an act to alter the provisions of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended.
Second, Honorable Aminu Shagari.
May I use this mic, Mr. Speaker? Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Aminu Shehu Shagari. I represent Yabo Shagari constituency in Sokoto State. May I humbly and respectfully second the motion that we receive the report of the House Committee on Special Ad hoc Committee on the review of 1999 Constitution. I so second.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against it say nay. Ayes have it. Dears, please proceed and lay the report. Honorable members, the third business of the day is presentation of two reports of the Committee on Health Care Services, standing in the name of Honorable Chike John Akafo. Honorable members who recall that the matters were referred to the committee on Wednesday, 28 October 2015 and Thursday, 3rd November 2015. Reports are ready for presentation. Honorable Akafo is now invited to present them.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Very distinguished colleagues, I am Honorable Chike John Okafo.
Who has a point of order? Okay. Chike, please take your seat. Diaz has a point of order.
Honorable Speaker, sorry, I thought you would give me the opportunity of laying and coming back to make observation. My point of order is unprivileged. I want to seize this opportunity to tell Nigerians that a lot of rumor is going on in the public now by saying that our committee did not consider the issue of not too young to run bill. But I can assure you that it's been considered and the title is already changed as part of the report. So that is one insinuation I want to correct. So thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Not too young to run bill. The young people, well, I hope it's not because of the threat that they're coming to demonstrate on Thursday. But the young people should be informed that we made a promise and we'll keep to our promise by the grace of God. So, Honorable Chike, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Very distinguished colleagues. Once again, I'm Honorable Chike John Okafo, member representing the good people of Ehi member, Ihitu Boma, and Obo Federal Constituency. From
Silence, please.
Mr. Speaker, I do move.
Honorable Abonta, please allow the leaders and take your seat.
I rise to move that the House receive the following reports. 1. Report of the Committee on Health Care Services on investigation of the activities of the Medical and Dental Council of Nigeria with regard to licensing of fresh graduated medical practitioners preparatory to the National Youth Service. And secondly, that the House will receive the report of the Committee on Healthcare Services on the call for provision of enough manpower and healthcare facilities in the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. Mr. Speaker, I do move.
Seconder, Honorable Osai.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Distinguished honorable colleagues, I remain Honorable Osai Nicholas Osai. I represent Doko Kwani Federal Constituency of Delta State. Mr. Speaker, distinguished honorable members, I rise to second the motion heavily moved by the consistent and respected Chairman of the House Committee on Health. I so second.
Honorable Akafo, please proceed and lay the reports. First order of the day is a resumption of debate on the general principles of a bill for an act to make provision for freedom from hunger and the right to adequate food of acceptable quality, the right of every child to basic nutrition and for connected purposes. Honorable members will recall that on Wednesday, 9th November 2016, debate on the bill was adjourned to enable the Rules and Business Committee to examine the bill vis-a-vis the provision of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 and advise the House. I now invite Honorable Oke Jeff to brief the House on the matter.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Okay, Jeff. I represent the good people of Buruku, my dear colleagues.
Silence, please.
I'm from Plenary State.
Please, honorable members, please.
Mr. Speaker, this is a straightforward matter. Objection was raised concerning the probable contradiction or infraction of the Constitution by the provision of this bill. Now, our findings are that, to the contrary, this bill seeks to give legal teeth, actionable legal teeth, to the provisions of the Constitution. Section 16, subsection 2D. Section 16, subsection 2D, if I may read. Good. Now it says, if I may read, the state shall direct its policy towards ensuring, D, that suitable and adequate shelter, suitable and adequate food, reasonable national minimum living wage, old age and pensions, and unemployment, sick benefits and welfare for the disabled are provided for all citizens. Mr. Speaker, this is the provision that this provision has inspired several laws that we have in place, like the Pensions Act, like the Minimum Wage Act, and so on. So, as far as we can say, Mr. Speaker, the provisions of the bill in question does not contradict any constitutional provision. And therefore, the adjourned debate could go on.
So the matter has been resolved in the affirmative. And in consequence of that, I will now invite the acting leader to move the debate do resume on the bill.
Honorable Speaker, honorable members, my name is Mohamed Tahir Monguno. I represent Marte Monguno Nganze, Federal Constituency of Borno State. I hereby move that a bill for an act to make provisions for freedom from hunger and the right to adequate food of acceptable quality, the right of every child to basic nutrition, and for connected purposes, be read the second time, be resumed. Debate on bill be resumed. I so move.
Any seconder? Honorable Shuaibu.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, my honorable colleagues. I'm Abdurrahman Shuaibu. I represent Mubi North, Mubi South, and my federal constituency. I'm from Adamawa State. I rise to second the motion as ably moved by the acting leader. I so second.
Acting leader, are you in a position to resume the debate? Did you sponsor the bill? Okay, just resume the debate since you are acting as leader.
Mr. Speaker, honorable members, well, I'm in a position to resume the debate as the acting leader because before the leader went to Lagos yesterday, he called upon me to take over from him. So I'm prepared for all debates. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, as rightly observed by the chairman of the House Committee on Rules and Business, what this bill seeks to essentially do is to give legal teeth for the achievement of the provisions of Section 16.
Honorable Osai, point of order. Leader, please take your seat. Honorable Osai.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, distinguished honorable colleagues. I remain Honorable Osai Nicholas Osai. I represent local Kwani Federal Constituency of Delta State, Mr. Speaker, distinguished honorable colleagues. My point of order is predicated upon Order 11, Order 12, Sub-Rule 3. Sub-Rule 3. With the kind permission of Mr. Speaker, I will read. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On the introduction of a bill, a compendium of background information shall be delivered to all members. Chair. Please, can you allow me?
Honorable Osai, please look at the compendium. It's been shown to you.
Mr. Speaker, this is the bill, not compendium. It's not compendium, this is the bill. This is the bill emanating from Senate and not compendium. Compendium is an analysis of a bill. Compendium is not before us, Mr. Speaker, and Mr. Speaker has ruled on this matter severally, and even the Chairman Committee on Business and Rule has also reminded this House. Anytime second reading of a bill is being debated, that a compendium should accompany with it. And a compendium is a binding thing that binds your hand if you are deliberating on issues of merit and the merit of a bill. And it's not before us.
Osai, I think this bill was presented to us on Wednesday, 9th November 2016. We only adjourned debate on the bill based on the fact that fears were raised as to the provision of the Constitution as whether the bill will go against the grain of our ground norm. So that was why we adjourned the debate. But I'm made to understand that there's even a bill from the Senate seeking for concurrence. And if that's the case, we're not obligated to provide any compendium, even though the leader is flashing the compendium. So these are highly technical issues, and at this point, I don't think it's fitting for us to allow matters of procedure override the substance of the bill. So, leader, please, let's conclude the debate on this and move on.
Osai, take your seat and be guided, please.
Thank you for the protection, Mr. Speaker. Even with regard to just for the abundance of caution, Mr. Speaker, even the issue raised by Honorable Osai, I've already circulated the compendium. Some members have already shown their own. Just for the abundance of caution, I went an extra mile to make sure that the compendium has been circulated. So, Mr. Speaker, honorable members, what this bill essentially seeks to do is to create an agency that will see to the realization of what is contained in Section 16, subsection 2D of the Constitution.
Sorry, leader, who is raising a constitutional point of order? A constitutional point of order has just been resolved. And it was resolved in the affirmative. Honorable Sadiq, your point of order, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. My point of order is based on the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. My point of order, Mr. Speaker, is based on the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Chapter 2, Section 16C and D. Section 16, subsection C and D, Mr. Speaker. And with your kind permission.
But that's the section of the Constitution that was just worked on by our Rules and Business Committee. Did you listen to his explanation? Okay, just go ahead and tell us what the order is.
Mr. Speaker, this bill is based specifically on Chapter 2, Section 16C and D of the Constitution. And it is very clear from text and judgments of court that this particular section is not justiciable. So whatever bill you are going to do in this, we are called upon to do in this house, if it will make the provision of food as a right in this country, it will be contrary to the provisions of the Constitution, and it will be null and void to the extent of the inconsistency. And Mr. Speaker, if you will, I would like to read this section for General House to hear.
It's very clear, we have heard it. Chairman, Rules and Business, what is your response to that?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Once again, I'm OKJF and I represent the good people of Buruku from Benue State. Mr. Speaker, I read section 16, subsection 2D, and I made a point. Going by the logic Honorable Sadiq is employing, we won't have Labor Law Act, we won't have Pensions Act, because all of them are in this section that he's talking about. But the fact that they are not justiciable means that you cannot take a copy of the Constitution and go to court and seek to enforce them. This, however, gives inspiration to a number of laws that we have on. We have the Pensions Act, which draws inspiration from Section 16. We have the Wages Act, which draws inspiration from this section, and several others. So this is just one of such instances that we want to take this section and give actionable legative, like as I framed it, to this section. I mean, it can't be there for just being their sake. The bill seeks to create a commission, an agency of government that will ensure that Nigerian public are better able to have access to food, adequate food. That is what it seeks to do. So, in my opinion, I think this is what this bill seeks to do. We are not going to court to say that, okay, Section 16 says this should be done, and therefore, I want to enforce it.
As a senior advocate of the masses, Honorable Osai.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, distinguished honorable colleagues. I think, Mr. Speaker, I agree completely with the Chairman of Business and Rule, because cases has been determined by the issues that the court takes into consideration on those principles when delivering judgment. And if the court takes into consideration when delivering judgment in Chapter 16, Chapter 17, and Chapter 18, it then presupposes that, one, the National Assembly can enact law as regard those sections. So I'm in agreement completely with the Chairman of Business and Rule.
Honorable Abonta, you still want to raise your issue?
Yes, Mr. Speaker, thank you. Uzoma Nkima Abonta is my name. Having read actually subsection D of it, my worry is that a law actually is meant to be obeyed. A law actually should be enforced. And I've listened carefully to Chairman Rules and Business and the adoption of our side, but I'm still worried whether we can, when this law is enacted, can we go to court and enforce it, and can we punish anybody for non-compliance? Is there any punishment for non-compliance of, for example, a governor fails to provide food, can we throw him into jail or what? That's just my confusion. I'm just thinking, so we can think about, so we do not produce a law that is not justiciable. I'm just thinking aloud. So thank you.
Well, this issue of justiciability, I think it's very simple. If a litigant is going on the basis of the provision of the Constitution itself, simpliciter, then it's non-justiciable. But if there's an act of parliament, the entire gamut, the reason for this act is to make that section of the Constitution justiciable. So a litigant can litigate based on the laws that we're about to make now, but not based on the provision of the Constitution itself. But you can't, these directive objectives are statements of aspiration of a nation that we aspire to produce this. This is what we aspire as a nation to. But it doesn't mean that we cannot make laws to reinforce those aspirations that we have as a nation. So for me, I think what we're doing here is to leave the provision of Section 16, 2C and D, particularly in Section D, subsection 2D, and make it justiciable, just like we have done in the case of pensions and other provisions that were made in the Constitution. That is my understanding of the law, really. We are seeking to now make it justiciable. Senior Advocate of the Masses.
Let me, Leo Kuelgo, representing the Soko Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, let me agree with you 100% because when you even read D, it says that suitable and adequate shelter, suitable and adequate food, reasonable national minimum living wage. And you know, as Parliament, we have actually passed a law that have set down the minimum wage that people should earn in our country, which you clearly know that is justiciable. So what we have done in this situation, knowing fully well that this chapter is not justiciable, but we are trying to come out with laws, no matter how it looks like. To me, I think I disagree to some extent with the bill, but when we pass it, it becomes the law of the land because it is as same like the minimum wage, which is even in that specific page. Thank you.
Leader, please conclude this debate.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I think in the course of raising the various points of orders, all the arguments in support of the bill have been thoroughly canvassed on my behalf, and I fully adopt all the submissions canvassed in support of this bill on my behalf. In conclusion, what I want to say is that as a responsive parliament to the yearnings and aspirations of the people that gave us the sacred mandate to represent them here, our primary purpose is to ensure the welfare and the security of the people that gave us the mandate to represent them. So once we cannot, even in the wildest of imaginations, cannot deliver that primary responsibility for which we are given mandate to come and represent the people of Nigeria, then ab initio, we are not supposed to be here. So it was in consonance with that primary objective that this bill was sponsored, to make provision of food in tandem or in consonance with Section 16, subsection 2D of the Constitution, to make it justiciable, because a hungry man is an angry man. So what this bill essentially seeks to do, if you look at the intention of the bill, is to create an agency that will bring into fruition the objective and directive principle of state policy or aspiration of the Nigerian nation state in section 16, subsection 2D, of making adequate food to all Nigerians, just to create an agency that will seek to the achievement of that objective and make it justiciable in consonance with the fact that we are here representing the welfare of Nigerians, and we should do everything possible to jealously guard and protect the interests of the people that gave us the sacred mandate to represent them. So I will call upon my honorable colleagues to look at what the agency seeks to achieve based on the compendium that I presented. And then you will see that essentially it is an agency that will seek to achieve what is contained in section 16, subsection 2D. I so submit.
Honorable Pajok.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, honorable colleagues. Mr. Speaker, my name is Edward Pajok. I represent Just South, Just East. Mr. Speaker, let me straight away say I agree that the bill itself is justiciable because we're trying to create an agency that will give effect to the directive principles of state policy. But Mr. Speaker, again, we are being urged to concur with the Senate on this issue. But Mr. Speaker, let us now look at the practicality of how this commission, when it is created, how it will be. Mr. Speaker, by the time we create this and it becomes an act of parliament, lawyers can file class action suit against the federal government and the commission on behalf of, let's say, 100 million Nigerians who are hungry, that government must provide 3 square meals for them daily. If we cannot do that, Mr. Speaker, government itself will collapse. So let us tread carefully, because if we create what we will now be the ones to violate the law, Mr. Speaker, we will run into problems. And this is different, Mr. Speaker, from the PENCOM Act that the Chairman of Rules and Business made an allusion to. In the Pension Act, it's a contributory welfare scheme where you contribute from your monthly salaries and income into the national fund or pension. But, Mr. Speaker, do we have the budgetary resources to provide for the food needs of all Nigerians? Mr. Speaker, the answer is very, very clear. If we don't have that kind of food, let us not start what will now embarrass ourselves. Mr. Speaker, if you look at the compendium that Honorable Mongono prepared, particularly A, it says to provide a framework that promotes the realization of the right to freedom from hunger and access to food of acceptable quality as a fundamental human right. Mr. Speaker, as a fundamental human right. Mr. Speaker, I have read sections 33 to 46 of the Constitution, which are on fundamental human rights. By the time we pass this, somebody will go to court and say, I am hungry. My fundamental human right has been breached. I have no food. Therefore, he will sue the agency and he will sue the government. We're going to put ourselves into trouble. Mr. Speaker, a similar bill came before us in the Constitutional Review Committee. And we threw it out because we say Nigeria cannot afford it at this point in time. Yes, we want to provide food for Nigerians. Yes, the Constitution says let us make sure that we provide for the welfare of Nigerians. But there's an important aspect. Can we afford it? If we cannot afford it, I think it's just time to say, let that bill honestly remain in the shelves. We cannot pass it into law because we will rubbish ourselves as a government. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Shagari.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Aminu Shehu Shagari. I represent Yabo Shagari constituency in Sokoto State. Let me start by saying I adopt all the submissions of my learned senior Silk as if they were my own, as far as this bill is concerned. I remember we had a heated debate during one of the retreats of the ad hoc committee, the technical committee, on this. The bill came up as an amendment to the Constitution, but we thought that it can be an impeachable offense to breach the provisions of this very bill. So we decided to leave it out. And in the same vein, I make these submissions in respect of this bill. I want to oppose it not because I don't like it, but because I know it is just wishful thinking, as far as I'm concerned. Go to our prisons, or let us even say the IDP camps. Are the provisions of this bill being adhered to now at IDP camps? Are they being given the food that they deserve as described in this bill? No. The prisons, they are not feeding well. Talk less of ordinary Nigerians. Yes. And then you now make a bill and say you're giving them a right. You're making it a law that they must be fed and clothed and be taken care of in all ramifications. I don't think the government can do it, with due respect. I wish we could, but the simple truth is we cannot. So in that respect, I humbly urge my colleagues to please have a rethink on this bill and send it back to the Senate where it came from. Thank you very much.
Clearly, I can see the devil in the details. But is there a way of picking the sour grapes and saving something out of this, Honorable Abonta?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I remain Ultraman Kim Abonta. Mr. Speaker, I've looked at the desirability of this bill. It is very, very desirable. It will be very, very beneficial. But my worry, like others spoke, is the way we can practice it. In the national interest, nobody should starve. I know that as a matter of fact that the rich cannot sleep because the poor, those who are hungry are awake. And those who are awake and hungry cannot sleep because they have no food. And the only way everybody can sleep is to provide food for the hungry, the poor, so that the rich can also sleep. As it is now, this bill seeks to provide food for everybody so that everybody can sleep comfortably. But the question is, do we have the ability to do that? What is the mechanism that we're going to put on ground for this institution that will be created? Honorable Pajok had given you just a little example. Are we going to define who is hungry? Because we're also hungry. Are you going to define at what point you can say someone is lacking? The rich also cry, Mr. Speaker. It will raise a lot of issues in defining and enforcing. Therefore, we will look wicked before the people if we kill this bill, if we say no, don't take it. Because people out there need food, sir. All I think is that we should step it down, fine-tune it, and define who is hungry. What kind of food is he going to get? Because if I'm hungry and I want to eat purely Uncle Ben's and you're giving me a father, I may now think that I'm still hungry. In UK, for example, people are giving social welfare stipend that are tied to bread, potato, whatever. In fact, they give you in form of coupon. And they tell you the grocery shop you're going to buy. When you go there, you cannot use that money or that coupon to buy luxury or shoe. You buy purely prescribed food. Sugar, milk, bread, potato, and so on. If you want to buy cheese, they say, no, you can't get this, this is luxury. So we must look at these things and define them, put them in order, and pass it so that we'll know that if somebody is hungry, we'll provide the type of food that could be enough and adequate. Because the Constitution, for example, says adequate food. That's the wording of the Constitution, adequate food. Adequacy is relative. Tuwo shinkafa may be adequate for me. Meanwhile, it's not medically adequate for somebody who is suffering from diabetes. A diabetic patient may decide to eat something different. So this adequacy must be defined based on the chemical composition of that person and the sickness. Therefore, I would suggest that in the interest of the nation, in the interest of all, we tell our red chambers that we need to look at this compendium as Osai had asked, critically and work out the modalities, but we should not throw away the bathwater and the baby, but not when the baby is dead. If the baby is dead, then it's possible to also throw everything away. I so rest my case, Mr. Speaker.
We have so many bills. We have spent more than 30 minutes discussing this. And for me, this is a straightforward issue, really. But in line with what Abonta has said, are we as a nation, are we in a position to supply any kind of meal at all? Not even talking about adequate, any kind of meal at all. Can we supply it to all Nigerians? So the answer to my mind is very clear, but it depends on what you will say. I'll put the question. And the question is that the bill be now read a second time. Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against it say nay. The nays have it. The second order of the day is commencement of debate on the general principles of Bill for an Act to repeal the Nigerian Inland Waterways Authority Act, Chapter N47, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, and reenact the Nigerian Inland Waterways Authority Act, provide for the management and development of Nigerian inland waterways, and to promote private sector participation in the development of inland waterways in Nigeria, and for related matters, standing in the name of the House Leader. Honorable members will recall that the bill was transmitted from the Senate, seeking concurrence of the House, and read the first time on Tuesday, 21st May 2017. I now invite the leader to move the bill be now read a second time.
Honorable Speaker, honorable members, my name is Mohamed Tair Monguno. I represent Marche Monguno Nganze, Federal Constituency of Borno State. I hereby move.
Honorable Osai, what is your point of order?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Distinguished honorable colleagues, my point of order, Mr. Speaker, is predicated upon Order 12, Rule 14. Order 12, Rule 14, Mr. Speaker, this border on a bill on the same subject matter. Mr. Speaker, you will recall that on 13th January...
Can you read Order 12, Rule 14, please? Read Order 12, Rule 14. Can you talk to your mic, please?
More than one bill on the same subject matter may be introduced. When the second reading of a bill has been agreed to or negative, the question shall not be proposed. Mr. Speaker, distinguished honorable colleagues, you will recall that on 13 January 2016, and this year too, two bills of the same subject matter was deliberated by this House, sent to the committee, and committee have finished public hearing. The report is lying, and yet has not been decided. The report has not been laid. The bill is being handled by our honorable chairman on Ports and Harbour. A public hearing has been done on it. I don't know how, if we send this bill to the committee of the whole House, it forecloses that report, Mr. Speaker, distinguished honorable colleagues. I feel, Mr. Speaker, that this bill be stepped down to, or refer to the same committee to bring a report of all the bills together. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Well, the confusion is that the order you have cited really doesn't help your case. Because you're talking about more than two bills originating from the House, but this is a bill that has been transmitted for concurrence from the Senate. So it's totally unrelated with the order you have cited. But the only problem is that if we go ahead, like he rightly pointed in the course of his contribution, we will foreclose the House bills. So Chairman Rules and Business, the reason why we formed that committee was to harmonize and then tell us the bills passed by the Senate sent to us for concurrence for which there's no equivalent bill in the House, so that we can give the concurrence and move further. But where we have bills that have been passed by the Senate, transmitted to us, and then we still have bills on the subject matter pending before committees of the House, how do we reconcile that, please?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Okay, Jeff. I represent the good people of Buruku from Benue State. Mr. Speaker, I appreciate the concern of Honorable Osai. Indeed, several members have come to me when they saw some of the bills coming from the Senate to say that they have similar bills that are at various stages. Now, but the section, the order that he has cited, he says not more than two bills. They're talking about during the same session. The sitting he's talking about is of a different session. Now, how do we, because every year is a session which ends in June. Now, but how do we resolve so that we don't come up with multiple laws on the same subject matter? Now we are going into second reading. The bill he makes reference to is already in committee of the whole. My proposal, my suggestion or advice is that after the second reading of this case, we send it to the committees to harmonize and bring it as one document so that we pass it, we bring it to the committee of the whole. I think that will resolve it.
Chairman, Ports and Harbors.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I agree with your position more than when first the House Committee on Ports and Waterways have the two bills listed here from the Senate, the Inland Waterways Repeal and Amendment and the Ports and Harbor. And we finished public hearing, set up a technical committee that finished its work, and we are drafting our own. And significantly, there are so much material differences in what we have from what the Senate is having. So I thought that, I wouldn't say that they hurriedly rushed this into us, but I think they will shut down what the public hearing that we conducted, where stakeholders took some positions. So rather than, it's either we are going to step down this bill, hoping since our own report will be ready next week, so that if we pass a version that is materially different, like I suspect it will be, then we can do harmonization, or they send this bill to us so that the technical committee can also look at the differences between what they passed and what we passed. But for them to send a copy means that anything will also pass a bill, even if they are on the third hearing, we send to them and shut down their own activities. So on the whole, I believe that the House Committee on Ports, Harbors and Waterways complete its work, and that the Senate version will be stepped aside. Thank you.
Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, my highly respected colleagues. I want to state, Mr. Speaker, that I am getting a bit worried. I agree to the fact that these bills are from the Senate. There is no way you can turn this. If we go, we must have to go through the second reading of this bill because it has been said to run. And it will go through the process and must go back to the committee because it cannot go to the committee of the whole. But my concern, Mr. Speaker, is that no matter how it is, the committee will have to work on this bill. But I see something that bothers me here. And when you look at Bill 2 and Bill 3, they are almost bills that have been treated in this House. There is too much similarity. You know, I raised this issue yesterday. And I find out that these are bills that we have already treated in this House. And when you look at the bills themselves, they are almost the same thing with what the Senate is doing. So, will I want to say probably these bills are being lifted? You know, so if it is not, then we have no other alternative than to appeal to our committee that it will be very wrong for us to step down this bill, take it back to the committee. The committee has to do the harmonization and bring the bill. Then at the end of the day, Mr. Speaker, the only thing we have to do now is to set up a conference that will definitely go back and take care of these bills. But I see some level of peculiarism going on in these whole bills that keep occurring. Because I saw yesterday the custom bill, which I introduced in the 7th Assembly, and it became a Senate bill yesterday. You know, but I really didn't want to argue it, and I see some level of similarity in this whole situation. So you have to take it and send it to the committee. Thank you.
No, I think we have to be careful in the sense that by the time we take the second reading and send it to the committee, even if the committee work on the bill and report to the House, it's not the same thing with the Senate version of the bill. So it means we still have to go to conference, and in that case, the Senate bill still survives, and it is until it is reconciled by our conference committee. So my suggestion would be that in order to avoid this untoward situation, bills that we have similar bills or bills on the same subject matter pending before the House, even if they are transmitted from the Senate, shouldn't even be listed in the first place. Because the point is they are seeking for concurrence, so it's either we concur or we don't. But we can't go and submerge it with our own bill within the committee. I think wisdom dictates that we separate the two. It's either we concur or we don't. And the best thing is to even keep it in abeyance until we have processed our own, then we'll go to conference. I think that position will be better. Chairman, Rules and Business.
No, Mr. Speaker, I think that concurrence doesn't mean we have to accept what the Senate has brought over. The Constitution and our rules say that you can concur with amendments. Now, if you concur with amendment, it means that we have disagreed with the Senate version of it, and that is when we have a conference committee. You know, so and at the level of amendments, that is when we bring in our own version of the bill. Because, come to think of it, supposing we insist on passing our own differently and passing the Senate's own differently, we'll still have to come to some meeting point. So that is the position. And I think we can only do that because the bills that we are making reference to have already passed through second reading. So there's no way we can step this down without causing problems. We have to go through second reading before we can talk of harmonization at the committee level.
Chairman, I guess we're missing a point. That is the distinctiveness of these bills. If you say we're concurring with the Senate bill, it means we're losing our own distinctiveness. The bills being sponsored by the members will just have to be used as an addendum to what the Senate has done in varying the proposals of the Senate. But it is better to have a distinctive bill of the House on the subject matter the Senate has its own, and then we meet at the level of conference. That should be better. But once you now say, okay, our own bill should be subsumed with that of the Senate and we are concurring, that means that we are losing our own distinctiveness. That's just the problem. So this is a serious log jam. I don't know how we'll unlock the jam. Honorable Dr. Mohamed Sani Abdu.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Just like the minority leader has said, I mean, the fact that a bill has been transmitted to us, we don't have to necessarily concur. And since we have the same bills on the same subject matter, and we have invested so much legislative energy and resources into it, we have done the public reading. I think, sir, the best thing is just to step it down and continue with our own, and we meet at the top. That is the clear way to do it. We have our distinctiveness. We have a bicameral. The essence is, at the end of it, we must have the best laws for the Federation of Nigeria. And if we do that, it means the best of our own will come, and then we'll meet at the conference with the best of our own, and the best of all for the nation will come out. So the best thing, I hereby propose that we step their own down and continue with our process, and then at the end of it, we can look for conference. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Chairman, Rules and Business, at this point I'll invite you to move that we step it down while urging our own committee to ensure that they report on this bill on time so that we can pass our own version and then meet at the conference level to reconcile the difference. So please move that we step it down, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Okay, Jeb, I represent the good people of Buruku, my dear colleagues. I'm from Benue State. I rise to move that item number 2 on the order paper be stepped down. I so move.
Consideration of item 2 on the order paper stepped down by leave of the House. Third order of the day, honorable colleagues, commencement of debate on the general principle of bill for an act to establish the Nigerian Ports and Harbour Authority to provide for the ownership, management, and development of ports and harbour and repeal the Nigerian Ports Authority Act, Chapter P 126, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, and for related matters. Standing in the name of the House Leader, honorable members who recall that the bill was transmitted from the Senate seeking concurrence of the House and read the first time on Wednesday, 17th May 2017. And now, instead of inviting the leader to move that the bill be now read a second time, I invite the Chairman, Rules and Business to move that we step it down. In view of the fact that I remember our own Chairman too has similar bills, and the public hearing has been taken. I was there myself. So move that we step it down.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that we step, we step down item number 3 on the order paper. I so move.
Item 3 on the order paper stepped down by leave of the House. Fourth order of the day is commencement of debate on the general principle of bill for an act to provide for the establishment of the National Poverty Eradication Commission and for matters connected thereto. Standing in the name of the House Leader, honorable members who recall that the bill was transmitted from the Senate seeking concurrence of the House and read the first time on Wednesday, 15 March 2017. I now invite the leader to move the bill be now read a second time.
Mr. Speaker, I'm told that this too suffers the fate of the of the two previous bills. I therefore rise to move that will step down item number 4 on the order paper. I so move.
Item 4 on the order paper, stepped down by leave of the House. Fifth order of the day is commencement of debate on the general principle of bill for an act to establish the National Sports Commission to be charged with the responsibility of administering, encouraging, and developing sports and games throughout Nigeria, and for matters incidental thereto, standing in the name of the House leader. Honorable members will recall that the bill was transmitted to the Senate from the Senate, seeking concurrence of the House, read the first time on Tuesday, 6 June 2017. And now I invite the leader to move that the bill be now read a second time.
Honorable Speaker, honorable members, my name is Mohamed Tahir Monguno. I represent Marte Monguno, Ganze Federal Constituency, Borno State. I hereby move that a bill for an act to establish the National Sports Commission to be charged with the responsibility of administering, encouraging, and developing sports and games throughout Nigeria, and for matters incidental there to be read the second time. I so move.
Any seconder? Honorable Goni Bukar.
Right, Honorable Speaker Yakubu Dogara, a lawyer. I am Right Honorable Goni Bukar Lawan, member representing Burusari, Gaidam Unusari, and from Yobe State. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise to second the motion heavily moved by the acting leader. I so second.
Leader, please lead the debate.
Honorable Speaker, honorable members, this bill is a very straightforward bill. It speaks for itself. It essentially seeks to establish a commission that will superintend over the administration of sports in Nigeria with a view to promoting development of sports. As we are all aware, sport plays a very important role in projecting the image of a country in the Committee of Nations, and as such, there is need for a commission that is going to superintend over administration of sport. Well, members can observe that we already have a National Sports Commission in existence. But what this bill essentially seeks to do is to give it legal teeth. But my learned essay has come and observed that this bill, the National Sports Commission, is already in existence. It's an act of this parliament. The omission or the lacuna is that it was not captured in the 2004 edition of the laws of the Federation, but it was captured in the 1990 edition of the laws of the Federation. That is the lacuna that he observed. So I move that this bill should go to the committee for a second reading.
Shagari.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Aminu Shehu Shagari. I represent Yabo Shagari constituency in Sokoto State. I rise to lend my support to this very important bill, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues. I've always maintained, sir, that this country is not tapping the potentials it has in sports. When you look at the Olympics and you look at other international competitions, you see that the number of people, the percentage of people that are medalists in those competitions are mostly black people. And this happens to be the largest black population on earth. It shows that we are not really tapping the potentials we have. We are misplacing our priorities, with due respect. When it comes to competitions, they prefer to carry a big or bogus contingent, so that, I don't know whether they stand to gain something from the hotel accommodation and tickets and so on and so forth, rather than concentrate on individual talents and develop them. They would rather go for bogus, appearance, and then they come back with no medals. But I still maintain that in Nigeria, if we have a very serious commissioner for sports in any of our states, I tell you, if he tries to go to Olympics, he will come back with medals. If small countries like Ethiopia, Jamaica, and a host of other small countries are coming up with Kenya with medals, a giant like Nigeria will go and come back empty-handed. It is not acceptable, Mr. Speaker. So this commission will ensure that the right thing is done in developing our sport and going out there and hunting for those talents and developing them so that we can take our place, our pride of place in the Committee of Nations as far as sports is concerned. I support this bill wholeheartedly, and I urge my colleagues to please give it the support it deserves. Thank you.
Chairman Sports, I was initially scared by your tie of many colors, and I remembered that you are Chairman Sports.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker Yakubu Dogara, a crusader of the rights of the Northeast, a lawyer again. I am Right Honorable Gonibu Kadlawan, member representing Burusari, Gaidam Yunusari. Mr. Speaker, sir, I'm from Yobe State. Mr. Speaker, sir, as a committee chairman, House Committee on Sport, I am 100% in support of this very important bill.
Honorable colleagues,
sports is one of the language that's speaking to every one of us. But here in Nigeria, it's difficult for us to speak for us. Without this commission, that's why always you can hear crisis in the sports, lack of payment of coaches, lack of payment of the players, and so many problems. The problem is that...
Who has a point of order? Chairman rules.
Sorry, I'm stepping in because Honorable Kanike just came to let me know that he too has a similar bill in the House which has gone through second reading and is in the committee stage. Now, if that is the case, we may be wasting legislative time because we have already taken some precedents that all of such bills will be stepped down. He just came in to let me know. So, because of that, I think we may just have to suspend this debate and treat it the way we are treating the other bills that have similar...
Do we have a bill on this?
Mr. Speaker, as far as committee concerned, we don't have this bill before us.
Well, this is where we'll round off today's live broadcast of the plenary of House of Representatives. Well, so far, the House received 6 petitions and then passed 4 bills for first reading. And then the House received an executive communication from the acting president requesting the approval of virement in the 2017 budget of the amount of 135.6 billion. Well, the request explained that this virement is to enable government to fund some critical federal government projects and programs in the 2017 budget. Actually, the request also explained that, well, before the signing into law of the 2017 budget, the National Assembly and the Executive actually discussed on some of these projects. And then the request by the acting president has been referred to the House Committee on Appropriation to be discussed at a later date. And actually on the floor today, a bill came from the Senate for concurrence, and that bill seeks to make a non-provision of food a justiciable offense. That is, that Nigerians will now have the right that they must have adequate provision of food and good nutrition. And if that is not provided, it can actually be an offense. But unfortunately, that bill was rejected by members of the House of Representatives, some of them citing the issue of, well, the Nigerian population, that might not actually be possible to provide food for each and every one of us. And then now that the bill has been rejected by the House, therefore it was not concurred. And then I think the Senate will now take another line of action Well, as it is right now, we'll hand over to our studios for the continuation of the scheduled program for the day. I am Ignatius Nkwo, and on behalf of our outside broadcast crew, I say bye and enjoy the rest of your day.